I just can't imagine this going anywhere other than a real problem for Joe and Hunter.
Have you seen any evidence that Joe Biden, as vice president, changed policy or anything else that would actually be impeachable?
So absolutely yes.
The investigation into President Biden and his role in the business affairs of his son, Hunter. GOP lawmakers have demanded that the National Archives release more than 5,400 emails in which then Vice President Biden used fake names or pseudonyms to communicate with Hunter, among others. This is the latest request from Republican investigators as they try to build a case that President Biden participated in and profited from Hunter's dealings with foreign clients. We're joined now by Senator Ted Cruz, Republican of Texas. Senator, welcome to the show. Good to see you this evening, sir.
Lindsay, great to be with you. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so you are on the Senate Judiciary Committee. We know now that then Vice President Biden was at least on speakerphone with Hunter during some of these business meetings, something he has denied repeatedly, saying he didn't even know about these business affairs of Hunter. But you have Democrats and some liberals in the media saying that Joe Biden did nothing wrong. What do you make of that assessment?
Well, I have to say the evidence keeps piling up, and it's deeply concerning. It is clear right now that his son, Hunter, was engaged in an ongoing pattern of illegality, making millions, tens of millions of dollars from foreign nationals. And there is growing evidence that Joe Biden personally solicited and received multi-million-dollar bribes from foreign nationals. We have right now two different senior career employees, IRS whistleblowers, who have come forward, who have alleged that the Biden Department of Justice has been essentially obstructing justice, blocking investigations into Joe Biden, into his complicity in soliciting and receiving these multi-million-dollar payments. Those same IRS whistleblowers have alleged that the Attorney General, Merrick Garland, lied under oath, which is a felony. We also have an FD 1023, which is an official report in the FBI of a confidential human source that made those same allegations that Joe Biden and Hunter Biden solicited and received millions of dollars of bribes from foreign nationals in exchange for official government favors. And these are serious, serious allegations. And I have to say, unfortunately, the position of Senate Democrats to date is they don't care. They're not interested in asking a single question about it, that they're not interested in holding a single hearing about it. They do not want to know whether the sitting president of the United States solicited and received millions of dollars of bribes from Russian oligarchs, Ukrainian oligarchs, and from the Chinese Communist Party. And that really is a very disturbing state of affairs where we find ourselves today.
You're a lawyer by trade. Have you seen any evidence that Joe Biden, as vice president, changed policy or anything else that would actually be impeachable?
So absolutely, yes. The Constitution provides three grounds for impeachment: treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. In this instance, what the allegations are that Biden solicited and received bribes. That's something explicitly enumerated in the Constitution as a ground for impeachment. Now, bribery, at the heart of bribery is what's called a quid pro quo. You'll recall in the first Trump impeachment, quid pro quo was discussed at great length. Quid pro quo is a Latin phrase that means this for that. In this instance, what the allegations are that are in the FBI's Form 1023 are that Joe Biden and Hunter Biden solicited millions of dollars of bribes from a Ukrainian oligarch in exchange for Joe Biden, when he was the vice president, getting Viktor Shokin, who was a Ukrainian prosecutor, fired because that prosecutor was investigating the Ukrainian oligarch. We know that the quo happened. We know that Joe Biden got that prosecutor fired. We know it because Joe Biden has publicly bragged about it. In an interview he did with The Atlantic, he bragged about that he held hostage over $1 billion in U.S. taxpayer guarantees of loans for Ukraine, and he demanded that the prosecutor be fired. And then he bragged that within hours, the prosecutor was fired. So the quo we know happened. The question is, did the quid happen? Did the millions of dollars of payments go to Joe Biden and Hunter Biden? We know that Hunter received over $1 million a year from Burisma, the Ukrainian natural gas company. And what the confidential human source alleged is that Joe Biden personally received $5 million and Hunter Biden personally received $5 million. If that allegation is correct, then Joe Biden is guilty of bribery. And if we had a Department of Justice that was not thoroughly politicized, we would have an open investigation into that right now. Unfortunately, the Biden Justice Department seems more vested in protecting President Joe Biden's political fortunes than it is in enforcing the law and enforcing the law fairly, regardless of party affiliation.
Okay, so these emails, these 5,400 emails, in your experience, is there any good explanation that then Vice President Biden would be using fake emails to communicate on official business, and you have people like Antony Blinken, who was his national security advisor at the time, also CCing those fake emails on official business?
Well, the question, is there a good reason? The answer is yes, but there's not a legitimate reason. Let me explain the difference. The good reason is you're hiding something. That's what they were doing. So that's their good reason, but it's illegitimate. When you're conducting government business and you're the sitting vice president of the United States, you have to use a government account or one that at least can be archived so that the records can be kept. This is a way to circumvent the law and to go around the requirements that you conduct official business paid for by the taxpayers in a way that there's transparency and that even though you may not release everything to the public automatically, it still has to be archived. They didn't do that. And using a Gmail address was a way in which they got around the law. And I think Joe's in a lot of trouble for this. I mean, it's one thing for Mitt Romney, a.k.a. Pierre Delecto, to do a Twitter account with a fake name. That's silly and juvenile. But this is not just silly and juvenile. He's conducting government business, and he's doing it on the sly. That ain't kosher.
The interesting thing is, as well, there were these 3 email accounts. I can only imagine as Vice President of the United States, you're pretty busy. So who was managing these 3 accounts? Was it Hunter? Who was it?
We don't know. And that's another reason it's so important that Jim Comer and these other members of Congress are able to get to the bottom of it. Get to the emails, find out what was in them. But why would you copy a non-government, drug-addicted son on government business unless there was a reason to do 2 things? 1, hide the nature of the contact, and 2, conduct some type of contact that would be embarrassing or even revealing to show criminal activity. There's no other reason or explanation for this. Hunter Biden should never have been copied on these official government emails because he was not a government official. He didn't have a role. He didn't have an appointment. He was not employed. All of it just stinks to high heaven. And I just can't imagine this going anywhere other than a real problem for Joe and Hunter. And Lindsay, let me quickly add that one of the things this has shown is that he was lying all along in the campaign of 2020 when he said, I didn't know a thing about my son's business dealings. I never talked to my son about business, never, ever once. That's a lie. We now know it's a lie, a big lie.
Absolutely. And I actually want to play a clip of his most recent interaction of Peter Doocy at Fox News asking him from some of these more recent revelations if he would fess up. Listen.
Never talk business in anybody. And I knew you'd have a lousy question.
Well, why is that a lousy question?
Because it's not true.
At the end of the day, how are we going to get the truth on these things, Governor?
It's going to have to come with congressional inquiry. And you know, how dare Joe Biden say that was a lousy question? Actually, it was a very good question. The lousy part was Joe's answer. That was lousy. Clearly, he does not want to answer this. And I'm not sure that in his addled state of mind, he can. But there are facts now to be dribbled out, and they're starting to come no longer in a dribble, but in a downpour.